Welcome to Lea County Pod. Our host, Pete Malignic, today. Would you please introduce our guest?
Good morning, Jack. Today we're with David Bosworth.
Blackwood.
I'm sorry. Today we're with David Blackwood, who is the director for the Center of the Arts in Hobbs, New Mexico. David, pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you.
And I guess could we start by you telling us a little bit about your background?
Okay, yeah, for sure. So, like I said, my name is David Blackwood, and I was born in Odessa. I don't know how far you want to go back, but I moved to Hobbs when I was about 5. And I lived in Monument actually most of my childhood and teenage life. I moved out of Monument when I was about 18, and so then I started working at Forklift Enterprise, and that didn't work out for too long. Then I went to Atlanta, Georgia, for a college out there called Atlanta Leadership College. Don't look it up; you'll only find bad things right now. But but I was thankful for my time there. I learned a lot. Got to go all over the world. I've been, Germany, Paris, Tokyo, Thailand, and then for other things, the Dominican Republic, all these things. And so most of my background was spent in church ministry, doing youth ministry, children's ministry, and then mostly what I do is worship ministry. So music is what I'm mostly wrapped up in. And so yeah, I've been doing music since I was probably 16 is when I officially started. I don't have like an American Idol story. I actually never sang at all until I was 16. There was a need that was open. I was always willing to fill a need. So I just said, I'll do it, get on stage, and I was really bad, but thankfully they just gave me more opportunities. So I led worship at Christian Center Church for a long time, went to Georgia, led worship there for a while for their kids, adult and youth ministries, and I also did for their satellite campuses and stuff. And then I came back to Hobbs in 2015, and I worked at Christian Center Church, and from 2015 to current. So I've been there for 10 years now. I am an associate pastor, but my main role is in music, and I do a lot of the planning and stuff when it comes to Sundays. So that's kind of where that is. I got the role at the Center for the Arts because Mike Hendon, who is now the CEO of Boys and Girls Club, he was kind of offered the job to begin with. He was at a meeting. He was the My Power Boys director for a minute, and he was at a meeting where somebody had a need for the Center for the Arts because the previous administration there left, and so they reached out to him, and he was interested in it. But then the Boys and Girls Club thing opened, so he talked to me about it. And at this time, I just had the church income, which I don't know if you know anything about churches, but they don't pay a whole lot. So I was married and aspiring to have a kid, which we do now. We have an 8-month-old daughter. And so I just knew that I had to probably do something to make more income. And so this was kind of right up my alley. A church job is not for everybody, but for me, it combines the speaking, the music, the tech, all the things that I feel like I'm good at and passionate about. It's all combined there. And I was thinking there's no other job that does that until I saw the Center for the Arts job. And so I had the unique opportunity to take something that was completely broken financially, programmatically, basically in every way, the building, in every way broken, and build it back up. And so through the help of United Way, J.F. Mack Foundation, and many great nonprofit organizations in this town, we're finally at a level to where we can be viable again and have, we do events all the time. I could talk about those later, the events that we're having coming up, and with other organizations such as Dia Hobbs, Lena Staccato, JF Maddox, Unity Recovery. We have tons of stuff coming up. And so yeah, it's just starting from nothing. But as far as my background, as it comes to arts, it's mostly music and graphic design, video editing. I do a lot of video editing. In fact, you've probably seen a couple. If you follow like United Way and some of the stuff like that, you've probably seen a couple of my videos come out with the MLK Day video. There's one that's about to come out about the United Way campaign. stuff. And so I do video editing as well. So my background is not necessarily in like traditional arts as some people would say, like, you know, painting, sculpting, you know, stuff that's been around for thousands of years. Mine's more modern, you know, like video, like I said, video editing, graphic design, and I do events well. So I love doing events and putting on events. So that's kind of been the Center for the Arts shift. Is I still love to have art in there. In fact, my goal is to have art in there at all times. But it's kind of shifted from just being like an art organization to really hosting a lot of events and having people see that place as a place to go for fun. You know, I host things like date night stuff for couples or friends, even like if you have, you know, just girlfriends or whatever friends you want to bring out. I host the kind of stuff like that. I host like corporate events, you know, things like, you know, galas and stuff like that for people. I host. You know, tons of other nonprofits that come in, like United Way does their Women's United there. Dina Hobbs hosts a bunch of their events there. In fact, this Saturday is the Mocktails and Movements event that they're having. Beleno Staccato Art Show set up starting Friday and Saturday for the whole month of September. So I mean, we have a lot of art going on, but really my big focus is events, art within events, I guess, if you will. So it's kind of the gist of background and kind of current.
Okay. Let me ask this question. You've traveled extensively. What have you seen change in Lea County from when you were young, or should say a youth, to where you are now a fully mature adult? How has the county changed?
Well, it's obviously grown substantially. I mean, I remember, you know, as a kid, my grandma worked at the Walmart that is now Hobby Lobby in that area, you know, and I just remember you could do no traffic, no anything. So it's grown a lot. Unfortunately, when I was a kid, I had a hip replacement when I was 17. And so I kind of checked out, you know, after that. I played football. I wanted to join the Marines. And so I kind of checked out. There was a person in my life that really swayed me in a good way, not like a manipulative way, but a good way to kind of pursue ministry in the way that I did. And so unfortunately, I didn't really pay attention to the state of Lea County at the time when I left, because I was 18, when I was 20 years old when I left, because I was celebrating my 21st birthday in Atlanta. So I was 20 years old when I left. I worked at Hastings as a video manager there, and then I left when I was 20, and I came back when I was, when I was 23, I think, when I came, or 24, something like that. So I didn't really see that, and then my whole world was wrapped up in Christian Center. So I went there since I was like 13 years old, and so my whole world was wrapped up there. You know, all my friends were there, everything I did. So I really, other than events that we did at Christian Center in the community, I really didn't pay attention a lot to the community, which I regret, you know, now. But what I do see currently is that we have a lot of nonprofit organizations here that are very passionate about what they do. I mean, beyond a level of comprehension in some ways, because not a lot of them get paid very little or anything at all, and they do this solely because they're motivated and they believe in the people here. And there's organizations like United Way, J. Matic Foundation, that believe in those nonprofits to excel them to another way. So what I see now, which I wish I would have noticed, because I would imagine that the camaraderie and the passion level in Lea County is much higher than it has been in a long time, and so I would like to believe that. And especially what's happening in downtown right now. Downtown's being revitalized. You know, there's Dea Hobbs is Downtown Initiative Association, and their main role is to bring downtown back to life. And really, I'm down. That's where Center for the Arts is at. So I'm down there a lot. And honestly, there is some homeless problems and some stuff, and not that they're the problem, just the fact that we don't have housing for them, and we have some stuff like that going on. But at the end of the day, the downtown is very alive, especially at night. There's a barber right across the street from me that is always busy. I mean, sometimes lines out the door busy, so I guess they're really good. But so as far as I didn't pay attention to them, but what I see now is, like I said, a lot of motivation and passion to bring the community alive again.
And you know, with United Way and Rebecca heading that up, Becca Titus, she seems really effective in her role, and I'm sure T.J. Parks with the Maddox Foundation is also equally effective, and good to have their support.
Yeah, they're instrumental in a lot of nonprofits' existence and functionality. Honestly, I mean, because unfortunately in this society you have to have money to do anything. Even if you just want to clean a toilet, you have to have money. Mm-hmm. So they help. I mean, I know Center for the Arts wouldn't be anything without those two organizations, and you know, the fact that they've gone through a lot, especially with Center for the Arts. They've gone through a lot of heartache, a lot of broken trust, and they still continue to support it. And so hopefully I'm rebuilding or have rebuilt that trust in them to see that, hey, this is a viable organization, and this is something that we can believe in again to really not only just bring downtown back alive, but also the arts. Because the Center for the Arts, part of the mission statement is it's the hub of arts in Lea County. And I think that that's lacked for a while as far as being the hub, because a hub is something where basically arts pass through to even get seen or acknowledged. And I think that hasn't been the case for a while, but now it's starting, working with Lena Staccato again, bringing the art back into there. I'm working with, I have several art competitions and art exhibits that happen throughout the year. I'm talking to this guy right now, when I first began, I had a Gage Radcliffe who runs a Serpro. I went to high school with him. His dad has a display, Native American display. When I first started, I was like, oh yeah, I would love that. But then I had no idea how bad the financials were. So I just couldn't move forward with that. But now I'm hoping to move forward with that and have like a pretty big Native American display inside the center coming soon. And so yeah, but like, I know I'm expounding on what your thing, but it's they're just vital to. I mean, I don't think a lot of people really truly understand how much, one, organizations depend on them, but two, it's not a dependence of like a bad dependence. So sometimes dependence can be bad, but this is more so a partnership.
Oh, yeah.
That
interlaced.
Yeah, because not. I mean, United Way and Pneumatics helps all of us, but we also try our best to help them and do whatever we can to help their mission. Because their mission aligns with our mission. Their mission is to help nonprofits. To help them to flourish in the county and to build the county up to a level that it should be at. And United Ways is it's basically the same thing. But they have an underlying with helping. Like the 211 helpline helps people in need in a second. So they're a great resource to spread. So if you call and you need domestic violence help, you need whatever, they can get you to the resources fast. Instead of you trying to look up online or something, you just call 211 and it's an immediate helpline 24/7. So I think that's a huge thing in this town. So I'm very happy that they have that.
The United Way is very appropriately named, I think.
Yes.
And I know the day that Jack and I met you, we came to the Center for the Arts, and it was nice to see the place filled up with people and somebody
I love
talking
that.
on the stage and people listening and asking questions, and that was great to see.
Yes, yeah, I love that.
Because it had been a little while since I'd been in there, and it might have been to see an art exhibit a while back. We used to have some poetry readings too, but that's a while ago now.
Yeah. Well, I'd love to bring any of that stuff back. I'm down to do anything. I'm down to in my world, art is everywhere. It's in everything. So I think that if someone has a passion for poetry, I would love to try to set that up. Try to set up a time or a space to set that up. We're actually hosting for the foreseeable future the Hobbs Community Orchestra. Every Monday, starting September 8th, actually, every Monday they're going to be in the building, and they're basically it's a high schooler that's very talented at stringed instruments, and Michael, I can't remember his last name. It's Michael. The last name starts with O, but he very, very highly talented violinist. I'm sure there's another name for it, but they reached out to me after being at the junior college for a while, for the summer. They left because they started school at the junior college. So, but they had a huge following of people wanting to learn how to play violin, wanting to learn how to play cello, wanting to, or already kind of know how to play but want to build on that skill. So they offered that, and a lot of people reached out, and so they after they got out there, they reached out to me, and I said, Mondays are really the only day at the center where there's not really something going on. So I said, you guys can take that slot, and so we worked out a deal, and they're going to be there every Monday for the foreseeable future. And so I'm very excited about that, because that to me is a traditional art. That style of music, that kind of violin, cello, that kind of stuff, that's been around for, I don't want to guess time, but a long time. So I'm very excited for that and the partnership there.
Okay, so that leads me to another question: is how do you see the Center for the Arts working with Hobbs educational establishment like the JC, University of Southwest, Hobbs Municipal Schools? How does the Art Center integrate with those institutions, if at all?
Yeah, great question. Yeah. Well, obviously, we're here to host any of their events, any sort of gala, any sort of corporate event, or like staff retreats. One of my package levels, I have different membership levels, and one of them at the gold or the above and beyond level, they actually get a free fun night, so where I'll host it, put it on, and everything. So like a paint and sip, or I mean whatever the brain can imagine they want to do. So I can host that, but also it's a place for their creative students to have an outlet, beyond just the college, going into the community, because that's the thing about the Center for the Arts being a nonprofit and being an art hub, essentially, is that those creative students at the JC, at university, they can have an outlet to come and experience art or do art, or even if I've had several college students that are artists themselves that only have maybe 5 or 10 pieces be able to display there. Because my thing, I don't charge to display art. I think it's kind of strange. I mean, maybe if I was like a major New York art exhibit, yeah, I would probably charge. But I was at this point, I'm like, I want art to be in there. I don't want to punish an artist to put art in there. There is a small commission on selling art out of there, but it's my goal is the artist to make the most money and to have the most exposure. So college students on either side, and even high school. I host the high school art show there. It's a massive art show, over 200 pieces. I host that art show. I'm looking to work with the middle schools and elementary schools to do an art show, a yearly major art show there. And I also want to do with the elementary schools to do. It's called either the Post-it note competition or the Lego competition. So essentially, you give however many students are in the school amount of Post-it notes, and they would either decide to the art class would either decide to do a collaborative piece or a bunch of individual pieces, and I would provide them a big cardboard, and they would post it on there, and then I would display that, or the Lego building. So basically, I'd give each school, each art class, the same amount of Legos and the same type of Legos, and they would see which kind of creativeness. And so I'm looking to work with elementary schools, middle school. I want to host all their art stuff. I want to work with them in any way possible. But it's in a nutshell, I think the way that I can work with any educational system is to, like I said, be a place where they can host their events there, and also be a hub for any student, no matter the age, to have a place where they can experience and do art, and not just drawing or painting, but also if they have an interest in graphic design or video editing or photography or anything that I have any sort of knowledge on, music, whatever it is, then I would want to help them, or make sure they find the resources. I can find the resources for them to pursue that. So that's basically in a way that I want to help the educational system.
Along the lines of community prosperity, I've often thought that literacy plays a significant role in that, because if the more literate people are, the more familiar they can be with resolving conflicts peacefully, for one thing, and expressing, getting their points across. Like Jack and I have an open mic series, and we consider it as a forum for people. But just as with literacy, being an outlet for getting along well, the arts so much are, an outlet for positive creative expression. So it's so vital to the prosperity of the community.
Yes.
One person interested in music, somebody in photography, sculpture, painting, drawing, writing, acting. It's so vital to the health of a community, I feel.
If you don't have an outlet for, especially for kids that are like kind of have that creative source, creative brain. Sometimes those kids, adults, teens, whoever, don't fit in, with quotations, fit into a normal, who consider, I guess, typical would be the word, to a typical society. But I'm always been against that. I think that those type of people, because I would include myself in those type. I can kind of blend with the different environments, but at the end of the day, I'm a huge movie buff. I have Lord of the Rings tattoos all over me. I have all that stuff. So I connect a lot with movies. Most of my references, most of the things that my humor, everything comes from some movie quote. And so, and to a point to where it's like where, especially my wife, she's like, can you just talk like in a normal sentence without a movie quote? And I'm like, it's like, I'll try, but it's stuff like that. So I think that if you can find a passion, then you can begin to or completely find your purpose. I think that, whether, like I said, I work at a church and I believe in God, but I think that at the end of the day, even if that's not the route you choose to take, I think that that's a passion route you could take to, think that you find your passion, find your purpose. But there's routes you could take to where, you think that if maybe you draw on something, you thought, oh, that's kind of fun, but then you don't have an outlet to figure out if you're really good at it or if you want to pursue it, then it will always just be a thing that's there. And that's what a lot of these kids today, phones have kind of screwed up I don't know the wording, but they kind of screwed up the attention span, one, and two, the creativeness. Because now you have ChatGPT, you have things where you can just type the prompt in and it makes this beautiful image. You don't have to think about, like, Photoshop's gone obsolete essentially. Like, not obsolete in a way, but like for a normal person to just discover Photoshop and do it. Even Canva, which I use Canva all the time, but Canva has made Photoshop where you don't have to do the work. Photoshop was so fun because you had to figure out everything. Like, man, I want this to be over there. How do I do that? Canva is like, it's all easy. So it made it accessible, but saying like phones have really made like our youth, and even from like I was born in a time where phones wasn't a problem for me until I was like 8th or 9th grade. So that wasn't ever a creative outlet for me to look at a phone. Video games was a problem in my youth, but now kids get phones when they're like 6 years old, so that's all they're doing. And so when you're trying to show them something, it's like you could see their brain go over here. Their eyes may be looking at you, but their brain just going back here. So you have to. So then it creates a problem for educational side of things. And I feel for the education system here, because when I'm doing stuff with kids, I have to like basically dance to get them to even pay attention. Which not physically dance, but like just do stuff to get their attention, because they just if they're not immediately interested in it, they're out. That is a potential challenge. Thankfully, the stuff that I've done so far, the kids that signed up to come were very interested in being there. So they mostly paid attention the whole time, so that's been good. But I could see potential problems in the future of having to keep kids' attention in a world that has phones. And I fear that I veered away from the original thought pattern here, but I think I just wanted to wrap the show.
Not at all.
But
no.
It does highlight how technology influences culture and society, and as a consequence, influences art.
Yeah.
We were just talking about that before the podcast started, too.
See, and along those lines, having to basically put on a show, for example, to maintain the dopamine feed to kids, if you will. given that there is this challenge to educate, uh, what inroads, for example, you say you want to put on events for middle school and elementary schools, and have certain things go on, such as the post-it note canvas and the Lego challenge. What direct inroads, if you can speak about, what direct inroads do you have, say, like with Mills Elementary or with Stone Elementary? What is the network there? What does that look like?
Well, I'm kind of in a unique position when it comes to this. One, at Christian Center, we have Dixie Vigil goes there, and she is basically, and not basically, she is the boss of all the elementary school principals. So she is their boss, and so then we also have Renee Cantu, who is an administrator at the school, and Sylvia Cantu. So we have a lot of ends there. With Gene, I know Gene Strickland very well. But then beyond that, Christian Center hosts every year at most of the elementary schools in Haas, we host play days. So we have a structure with our play days where we can have a skeleton crew but host a play day for 400 kids. And so we can do that off a crew of 10 or 15 at max, and so we the schools like that. One, it kind of gives a break for their the PE teacher, but also it allows, and the teachers can help if they want to. We encourage them to, but they a lot of times the teachers will use that time to go clean the classrooms and stuff like that. But so because of us doing that for so many years, we have, through the Christian Center's name and just the relationships we built through that, I know all the principals essentially, and I used to play pickleball with the Murray principal, so he was a lot better than me, so we didn't really talk, but at least I have that connection. So I think with the connection with Dixie, I can essentially reach any source I need to, and I wouldn't use that relationship at all to manipulate, but just fact to say, hey, who do I need to talk to about this? And so I've already talked to the Highland art teacher, and the Houston, and my contact through Highland Houston. She's actually on my board. Is Kari Combs, and she works at Highland and Houston and does art stuff there as well. So I have that in with the middle schools. Heiser, I don't necessarily have anybody I can think of right now. I'm sure I know somebody, but basically all the middle schools I have it in with. And so the reason why I haven't had those conversations yet is because I said we were trying to dig ourselves out of this hole, and we finally, we're not completely out of it yet, but we can look above the hole at least, so that's why now these conversations will start happening where like we want to do these events, we want to, here's the stuff to provide for you for that. So that those conversations will start happening very soon with them. But we already host the high school art show, and we're going to host the middle school stuff too. So that's already a good end there as well with John at the high school and stuff. So yeah, as far as connections, it's almost limitless.
When I was in graduate school for about 3 years at least, I was in for 4 years, we would go around the state of Arkansas, the graduate students, and teach poetry or story writing classes in the schools, and it would be all ages, from first grade up through senior high school, and that was a fun experience. And some visits were more successful than others, but I guess that's just the way it goes. But it was exciting to see, the people of all different ages, the students get excited over the aspect of writing.
Yeah. And that I would love to have a source for that at the center. Unfortunately, my handwriting looks the same as when I was in third grade to now, so I don't teach that. But I would love to have a source of somebody that can come in. Because I said I'm not just a person that can teach a lot of stuff, but I'm also a person that's willing to learn and host other people to come teach stuff. Like Roger Barr from the JC, just talented artist. In fact, it's a funny story about him. I was hosting it was an LCCA creative committee. I was just trying to get a team together to help think of things like what does the community need. I haven't done another one yet. I've ran into some problems, but we've overcome those, so we're about to do another one. But he came to the meeting, and he was engaged the whole time. So I'm about to say it wasn't like he was disengaged, but I had these forms that they filled out, just like what would you like to see, and a bunch of questions like that. And his form comes back in, and it has like a beautiful drawing of a transformer on it. Like, I mean, just stunning. So I'm going like, and he didn't have, for me, that would have taken me a lifetime to even get half of that. But he was just sitting there while engaged, and he was conversating and having points that he would bring up, but all that stuff. And then I get his paper back, and it has a transformer, like, I mean, just like movie quality transformer in pencil on there. And so like, we're going to work together. We're actually, hopefully, I talked to him about it a couple weeks ago, but we're going to do a plain arts, either competition or day. So the competition side may be later, but we might do a plain. So if you don't know what plain art is, it is Plein, I believe, and it's a French art style, and it's basically you go to an environment, like outdoors, and anywhere you go to and draw that environment. So like you would go like sit at a park and draw the scenery, and so that's what plain art is. And so he's passionate about that. He thinks that's a great art form. It gets you out in nature, and it gets you kind of looking at different shadows and different things. So we would have a theory side. So we would have probably like maybe either Friday and Saturday, or like a Saturday morning and then go out during the day and come back at night, something like that. Where they would have the theory side of like pay attention to shadows, pay attention to wind direction, pay attention to all that stuff, and then they would disperse and go anywhere they want to and draw a scene and come back and basically evaluate that. And so, and the competition side would mostly be like probably categories like water, water, nature, like whatever they're drawing. So that will come later, but we're working to do something like that to where, and that would be a 16 and up. So when I have adult classes, that means 16 and up. Mm-hmm. So anything below that, 14 and 15 are kind of that gray range where they can kind of fit in either side. Like if a 15-year-old wanted to be in the adult class, I wouldn't mind. But like maybe 14 would probably go in the 13, because I have, so basically I start at 6. So as far as like being able to keep their attention, because anything younger than 6 is you need parents, all the parents there with them, which parents are obviously invited to stay and participate, but it gets a lot harder under 6 is what I've learned. And so my classes start at 6 and they go to 13 for kids, and then like you said, 14, 15 kind of the gray range, they can fit in either side, and then 16 and up are adults. So I'm about to do a photography workshop where I invite them to bring their camera or their phone, whatever they take pictures with, to bring it to the workshop. We'll do a theory side to begin with, saying like what is ISO, what is white balance, what is black balance, what is, kind of going through what are these words on your phone or your camera, what do they mean, and how do they apply to your picture. And then also there will be a practical side where they will go anywhere inside the building or outside the building, take a picture, and we'll come back in and evaluate what we can do, how we can edit it to look better. What is, saturation's fun, but you can definitely oversaturate, and you can, like your black balance, I love to use a lot of black balance, but there's some people that don't. Like I want blacks to be really black, but there's other people that want the blacks to be more natural. So I mean that's the thing, that's what I'll discuss. Like this is what I would do, and say what would you would do. So basically be a 2-hour workshop. It'll be about 30 minutes of theory, and the rest of the time will be the practical time. So that's coming up. It was going to be on the 20th, but things changed. So thankfully I haven't released the signups yet because it would have been confusing, but there was an event that I I forgot about it. I was trying to be kind about it, but I forgot about it. So thankfully I didn't post the signups yet, but that's coming out really soon. So, and we have tons of things coming up as well, but yeah.
And the other, like with the drawing and the painting and all, I've only recently become aware of this, but there's, I don't know if trend is the right word, but there's a lot of putting drawings complementing poems. They call it
aphrasic.
Huh?
Aphrasic?
Is that how you say it?
I think so.
Is that where the poems are around the drawing or something?
Well, what it is, you take a picture, all right, and then you write a poem about the picture.
Oh, okay.
Okay, or you write a poem that's based on the picture, and typically the picture when they present the poem, it's linked with the picture in some way. So like if it's in print media, they'll go ahead and have the picture with the poem beneath it.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I've seen, as what I was saying is like they have like a picture of a coffee cup and the poem, but like the poem makes the coffee cup,
Right.
But it's about the coffee cup as well. So it's like, but it's not
Like
anything.
concrete poetry,
Yeah,
maybe.
but it's like it looks like it
Like a
makes the
swan.
picture of the coffee cup with the poem. So it's like typography style, but it's like poetry. So I've seen that, but I really like that idea, like because it'd be cool to guess the picture, like not show the picture yet,
Yeah.
have them read the poem and say guess what my picture was, and that's a really interesting. I like that.
it would be interesting too to bring film into the Center for the Arts. I'm a big film noir fan, and lights and shadows are so important in that kind of film. From that flourished a lot in the late 40s, 1950s, and you made me think of that when you were talking about the photography and going out, taking pictures outside of the center itself.
Yeah, shadows and I have I have two 75-inch TVs, but I also am about to put it's what I call the poor man's LED wall, but it's essentially four 65-inch TVs linked together, and they'll all show the same image, but they're linked together. And so I'm doing that for several reasons, because people say you're putting TVs up, but what it is, it's a information display and entertainment hub all at the same time. So the box that connects everything together, you can plug like 4 outlets or 4 things into, switch in between them. And so when say that I'm hosting an event or anybody's hosting an event, they automatically have this massive display hub to show their presentation. So that kind of amplifies any event. And so then when I have digital, like I do digital art competitions, so it's digital submission only, photography. And so I've done 2 of them so far, with actually 3. And so I display those on just the one 75-inch, but now there's 4 65-inch to make this massive display that when you walk in, it'll be like this huge thing you see. And so I'm installing that. So that's going to make the center, one, it's going to bring it into kind of a new light as far as technology, but also it's going to make anybody that uses the facility, their event's going to be amplified so much further than what it was, because right now it's just a 75-inch TV on wheels, which is a huge display by itself, but it's not anything to compare to what it's going to be. So pretty excited about that, and it's going to be set up to where you can use it with a stage or without a stage. It's going to be a semi-permanent display. And it's going to just be beautiful. It's going to be the TVs I found have really, really, really thin bezels. So you'll have the line, the kind of the 4-way line in between it, but it's honestly not, it's not bad. We did that same setup for a church camp that I went to this summer, and it was awesome. It was one of the coolest things, because as I said, you have these 4 TVs you just slap together and it makes this massive display, but at the same time, you could split those TVs and have 4 TVs. So it's a really cool thing. I don't even know why I got off on that. Oh, it's to display, like to do film. That's what I was talking about. I wanted to have a family film night or something where we're film appreciation sort of thing. Where it's, because I love movies of all sorts. I grew up on westerns and martial arts movies, like Enter the Dragon, and even all the ones like that, but even all the ones that were like subtitle only. My dad has been hard of hearing his whole life, so we always have subtitles on. So even now when I watch movies, I have to have subtitles because I feel like I can't hear it. It's just because I grew up with that. But so I appreciate westerns all the way from like even MASH, Andy Griffith Show, all the way to the new stuff. So I would love to have like a film appreciation thing where it's not just about coming and watching a movie, but maybe we talk about it. Like Lord of the Rings, I can do a year-long series on that, but like maybe having people there that appreciate the movie and talk about like the different things, what it says to you, what it does this, and then have points where like I've seen this thing where everyone gets a pause. So everyone gets one pause. There's one person, like the guy doing it, gets like 4 pauses, but everyone in the audience gets 1 pause. So if there's a moment that comes up in the movie, they can yell pause. We pause the movie, and then they can talk about like, this is what this scene means to me. This is what, because you can't give everybody a bunch of pauses because it'd take 14 years. But then the person hosting it, like be me, then I would get a little bit more positives to be able to like, okay, what is the, and make it more of a crowd thing.
What
is
an
this mean to
interesting
you?
idea.
Yeah, so I've seen that before, and thought that'd be, and it would have to be for people that are really into that movie. Because if you're just coming there to watch a movie, you're gonna have a terrible time. Because it's like, why are we
Be
pausing
stopping
so
every
much? Yeah, but
10
it would be
minutes.
it would be a movie, not even just film appreciation, it'd be that movie appreciation. But and I love, so Peter Jackson just came, the guy who directed the movie. He came out with a documentary that colorized World War One footage, and I loved it.
Oh, yeah,
I
yeah.
watched, I watched the whole thing, and I thought I could look at the title, but
Yeah.
even stuff like that, just having film appreciation nights,
Sure.
and that display would allow us to have something like that, and even the style you're talking about. Just having different times, like, hey, if you like this style, come to the center Friday night at 5 or 6, and because it has to be after the sun goes down, because those windows make it real bright in there. But so like come and center around like 6:30, we'll have some popcorn, some drinks and stuff, and we'll watch a movie. So it's just a kind of a family thing, because the city does the outside one, and that's good for the summer, but obviously the winter will stop. So then I can almost take it over in the winters and have it in there. So that's, I mean, it's limitless. The amount of stuff that can be done either for free or for low cost, and then stuff that costs. I mean, it's limitless, the amount of stuff that I want to do and that can be done. So I'm just very excited for the future of Center for the Arts.
Great. What one thing do you really want to tell Lee County?
I mean, I know this will sound so trite in a way, but just support each other. Support Lee County. Support the nonprofits. Support, each other. Don't bash each other. I see it all the time. People just hate each other so much, and because political stuff, because of religion, because of whatever, and they just hate each other. But I wish just people would support each other. And on the other side, when it comes to Center for the Arts, because obviously I could do a whole Christian side, but I'll spare that. But I think on the Center for the Arts side is I want Lee County to find their passion. We're an oilfield town, and I'm thankful for that. I want people to pursue careers in that. It's a lot of money in it. Could be a good life in it, but we're not just comprised of oil. We have amazing art and culture that's always been around Lee County, and we have people that want to support that. And so I want Lee County to find their passions, and if it's not through the center, then pursue it on their own. Find something in their life, 1 or 2, 3, 4, 5 things in their life that they love to do, and pursue that with their whole hearts. Because that's, at the end of the day, that's what's going to bring them joy. That's what's going to bring them through fire, through pain, through turmoil. What brings people their true joy is what they're passionate about. And if there's some people that just don't have a passion, they just don't have a drive, and waking up every day and doing anything is so hard for them. And I want to change that. There's a huge depression and suicide, a bunch of stuff that goes on in this community that I feel like, I'm not saying Center for the Arts is a solution, but I think it could be a road, an avenue to a solution, to where maybe if people had an outlet to pursue something that they love to do, then maybe things won't seem so bad. Because I said sometimes it's a dead end to an oil field job. And that's what I felt. I felt when I graduated high school, because I couldn't join the Marines because of my hip. I couldn't do the things I wanted to do, and the only route was oil field. I even got denied oil field the first time because I couldn't lift the way they wanted me to lift, and so I got denied that even the first time I did anything. So I just felt like I had to work in oil field. But then, thankfully, through Christian Center and through the avenues of ministry that I've had, I was able to find passion in my life. With Jesus, of course, and then with just pursuing things. Christian Center has allowed me to pursue arts and things that I would have never had opportunity to do, because like I can't afford to buy a nice camera or, a really awesome sound system and microphones. I can't do that, but through Christian Center, I was able to have these different elements that I'm in charge of that I can learn from. I learned how to play piano and guitar and drums and bass, all because of that organization. They allowed me to pursue that. They allowed me to mess up and keep doing it. So I just want to extend that grace continue through Christian Center, but also through the Center for the Arts. Allow people to come in and be bad and then push them to the next level. And so that's whatever it is, and music is my main source of where I know I can teach that. But in photography, I'm pretty keen on, and video editing. But like, I want to make sure that if somebody does want to learn how to draw or dance or act, I want to make sure I have the hub and the resources to go, okay, here's the person you should call, here's where you should go. But thankfully, Center for the Arts, because of the board and because of the relationships I've started building, we have a virtually endless amount of resources that we can pull from. So yeah, and then I mean, that was a very long, endless story, but essentially, find your passion, find your purpose. It's kind of my motto that I teach, is what I want to tell Lea County.
Pete, do you have anything else before we sign off?
Just a little short thing. I'm on Facebook with a writer who I realize lives in Ireland, and I think in a rural part of Ireland. I'm not sure, but I thought to contact her and say, about 8 months ago I read this Frank O'Connor short story, and it changed my life. And I've seen films that I could say the same thing to. You see a particular film, and it could be in the sense with music, photography, any art form has that power to change a person's life. And I think that's the key word there is passion, and it can't be taught, but you can certainly give people the opportunity, make people aware of different things existing.
Well, I think everyone has an innate something in them that wants to pursue something bigger than them, and the only thing that smashes that down is societal pressure, bad parenting, just the people, bullying, all these things that just pushes that stuff down. Somebody that is oftentimes somebody that's super passionate about art, like specifically traditional art or like dancing, singing, stuff like that. They're automatically like just ostracized because of their passion of that. But it's like those are the people that are bringing joy to millions, that are allowed to pursue it. But those are also the people that have, that have a lot of depression rates and a lot of stuff. The art side of things, because they're so stifled, a lot of times they feel like they can't express, they can't do anything, and so they go inward, and there's nothing in, obviously I believe, that Jesus brings joy and brings passion in my life, and from that, the overflow of that is something that I can spread to others, and I'm not so ignorant to think that other people don't believe that as much as I do. So I want to use that same fire and passion that I've received from knowing that relationship to other things, to help people, help people either find that relationship or find in themselves a passion and a drive that makes them want to wake up, that makes them want to love life and love people and support people, and not just financially, but like just with their words, with the way they talk, what they listen to, just a simple. Sometimes like somebody, like I know an artist that has SoundCloud artist, and like every time he gets like a like or someone shares a sound, it's like the best thing in the world for him. And so I'm like, and that's just a simple thing, and like anybody could click share. It takes 2 seconds, just like support people like that. I mean, a smile, a handshake, a high five, and say, it's like oftentimes when I see somebody like, and this I'm weird sometimes, so I admit that. But sometimes like if I do like a a bro hug, where you do the hat clap and a bro hug, and it's like someone smells good, they have a good cologne, I'm like, oh, you smell good. Like sometimes I see people think that would be weird, and sometimes people, oh, thanks, they're like brighten up, like did someone notice that I put this on, or like if I like the shirt you're wearing, if I like shoes you're wearing, I was like, yeah, I like that. It's a simple thing that people can do to make someone's day brighter. And I think that if you can figure that out, then joy and passion will come easier in your life because you're looking for it.
Yeah, exactly.
That concludes our session for Lea County Pod today. We thank you for joining us, and thank you, David, for your time and for your words of wisdom.